for a good walk. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I could do this. It's gonna be a little bit longer, and I was speed walking to get here, but I'm like, why not? Right? Take the
Right.
time. Like, let's do it for a good walk. So,
Exactly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live on YouTube.
awesome,
Whoop, whoop.
awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, thank you all. It is Friday once again. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Pansy?
I'm good. How are you, Justin?
Oh, I'm just peachy. I was sick for 4 days and playing catch up all day today. But how do you say it? That's life. That's life.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much. Sounds about right. You're on
And
the right track.
man, I was thinking to myself, like, is that life though? Is it? No, but
I mean,
it
sometimes it is.
sometimes it is. And
I
you know
mean,
what?
yeah, you
Whatever
know,
doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
sometimes.
Sometimes it just
I
kills
beg
you.
to differ in other times, but sometimes, yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I would say as long as you don't lose your mind completely,
Hmm.
that yes, it'll definitely make you stronger, at least in the mind and some
Yeah.
wisdom.
Well,
And
you get what you focus on, right? So it's like whatever your mind is focused on, like if you're thinking to yourself, man, this sucks, then you're gonna get more of that. And that's actually true. And I've literally not necessarily tested that, but I've gone back and looked, and every time that I went through my day with that attitude, you like legitimately you just get more of it. And you're like, damn, like you didn't even realize you were doing that to yourself, but you are. It's like again, that and people say it in different ways, like that energy you put out into the universe or whatever. But it really is just your focus. It's your own brain looking to confirm what you're feeling, right? So if you're telling yourself it's shitty, you feel like shit, everything sucks, like your brain's gonna look for stuff to confirm that for you all
that's
throughout the
kind of
day,
what
right?
the first thing I told you the other day,
I
right?
know,
I
it's
said, well,
totally
first
true.
of all, we're gonna stop saying we feel
You
shitty
did. I know
because
you've caught me a few times on that, but
well, I'm well aware of that.
yeah. I mean,
Like for myself.
yeah,
Yeah. So
legitimately though. So anyway, you got how was your day today? You went on your walk. You got some stuff done. We were looking at a pretty interesting property in Colorado. Like.
well, yeah, I don't know how much we want to talk about it. And Chris
uh,
is not here as far as I know. I can't see
oh,
who's
I'm not gonna like give
team.
up any specific
But
details, but.
but yeah, there's possibly some business happening.
All right, all right. Well, and I for those who don't know, like Pansy and I was in wholesaling for, we both were in wholesaling, but I was focused on, direct to agent stuff for a good year and a half straight. And really it took me a year to get my first deal. Then after that, when we were focused on direct to agent, we didn't get any deals. Now, if I'm really honest about it, we weren't putting in the work. Like straight up, we just weren't putting in enough work. We weren't doing, there's other things we could have done that could have improved the situation, but and I can make excuses all day long about like this or that and why we weren't able to do it, but ultimately it was my fault, right? I take the responsibility for it because it was, I wasn't putting in enough time on the people that were working with me, like the people that were calling and doing the legwork, and they in turn were not doing enough, not making enough calls. Now I can't necessarily say that about every single one of them, but I know for the most part we just ultimately weren't doing enough. We weren't being consistent enough.
Either
And
way, yeah.
that's usually what it comes down to, like, because and I'm sure when we bring George up here, our guest, he'll confirm this, but essentially like it's all just, consistency and just doing it day in and day out. And there's no, people will say things like, oh, that market's too saturated, or this, there's not enough deals, all the deals are, there's no deals, or all my leads suck. It's like none of that stuff is true. It's true if you tell yourself that that's true and you don't do anything about it, but ultimately it's your own it's your own consistency and um systems that you got, right? That's what it all comes back to. So anyway, I don't know how you feel about that, Pansy. I know when you and I got together finally, it was like, you know what? I finally realized, and Pansy kind of helped me along here with this, but I finally realized like I don't really like wholesaling. And some people love it. Some people are great at it and just and get energy from it and are, you know, good at
Or
it,
even just the,
for lack of
not
a
even
better word.
necessarily the wholesaling part, but just the cold calling and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we have found someone that's their jam.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, and
yeah.
I'm excited to bring them up. So we're gonna get this showboat on the, I always like to say the showboat on the river road. Uh
Well, if
but
it's a showboat, probably it'll
it'll be
probably
on
be
the
on the,
river.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna bring George up, but we're excited to have George up here. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Where's
Welcome
he
to
at?
the show.
Can you
Yeah,
see the
thank you.
wrong screen? There we go. I can only see one person at a time, not all three of us. There we go.
Yeah, well, you know what? Joey's in here. So we got Joey in the background for those listening to us right now or watching after the fact. We've got some people on the Zoom with us in the background, but Joey came in with George, right? It's one of your partners, right?
Right on. That's my
Yeah,
mentor right there.
you're meant to. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Well, we're gonna have to bring Joey up here at some point too. But how you doing, George? How you doing, man?
I'm great, my man. Kind of listening to your conversation of, the love and hate between
Uh-huh.
wholesaling and being able to relate to everything you said. And
Mm-hmm.
those are conversations I had with Joey as well. Of like, man, I want to be a business owner, but I don't want to do everything. But if
Mm-hmm.
I can't find the right pieces, then I have to do everything. And that
Mm-hmm.
that 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 fight, like,
Yep.
is it I'm
Yep.
lazy or is my business owner or what is it?
Yep. I think for me, well, I can only speak for me. And I think for me, it was I don't want to go the lazy route, but there was definitely some of that. There was definitely some of the procrastination, some of the lazy and procrastination part of it, but also finding the right pieces before you even really know what pieces you really need. That's a real struggle, right? Like you honestly, like me and the first person I started working with, when we got our first deal, we were just doing it on an Excel spreadsheet. We didn't even have a CRM yet.
Right,
And after doing that for about a year, that's when I finally realized, like, okay, I can see how our CRM could really, really help here.
right,
And so I took that jump and got the CRM, but the CRM's, having all the systems in place and all that, like nobody, I have another partner that always says this, but it's like nobody gives a shit about your systems if they're like not going to
true,
use them. You know what I mean?
right.
Like I remember somebody, and I don't know what your experience has been with this, but like did you start with a CRM, or how did you give us a little rundown? In fact, I'm going to take it all the way back. For those who don't know you, George, for those who don't know you, and it's the first time seeing you, why don't you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a rundown of how you even got into all this to begin with?
Got it. Okay, well, yeah. I always question how much I give because I tend to talk a lot and I catch myself like, no, just dumb it down.
Me
Clip
too.
notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been doing this for about 4 years now.
Hmm.
Before the last job I had was at the post office as a letter carrier. Really enjoying that,
Hmm.
but really feeling like a need for something else. It's like a calling, like. And I think things change when I seen this older guy in the locker room, about 60, 70 years old, hiding and sleeping. Like, holy crap, is this guy really making $60 an hour? And I can't see myself being that,
Yeah.
doing that for
Yeah.
that long. And so a lot of people do give me gripe, like, George, why'd you leave the post office? Good money, good benefits, but
Yeah. Because you
how
wanted
long?
more. You wanted more out of life, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Good for
yeah,
you, man. Good for you. Because that's hard. That's hard to do when you've got a cushy job that's paying all the bills and maybe giving you a little extra spending capital, right? It's
right,
hard to do that, man. Like just for you been in the last 4 years, like entrepreneurship is basically like, and Christian's not in here yet, but he'll tell you it's the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, right?
correct,
For sure.
Yeah. And
correct.
so
But
you know,
But I would
you're
say
jumping.
learning
Yeah.
to love it, learn to love the grit,
Yeah. The
the
grind.
chase, or meeting
Yeah.
people like you met Pansy eventually.
Yeah.
I met Joey not too long ago, and like really like, oh man, these are people that I can relate to, whether they're my fellow peers or my people that I look up to,
Hmm.
and being able to kind of have a etching that sword or etching that wood in there, like those notches. Like, okay, I
Hmm.
can talk to Sub Two Drew, I can talk to Philip Warwick, I can even talk to Pace to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, they're no different than I am. They just a couple chapters ahead of me. And I think
Yeah.
that's what um, breaks people apart, I guess, in a sense, or this discourages them, knowing how long it does take to for that certain person that you're looking up to, or kind of I would say hating,
Yeah. Yeah.
or like, man, he has been in it for a long time.
Yeah, he's been in it for a long. They all have, and also everybody sees the end result, like the success part of it, but you're
Right,
not seeing the years of like almost bankrupting your family and like, being millions of dollars in debt or whatever, right? Or
right,
hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, not knowing what you're gonna do. Like nobody sees that part of it. They just see oh, you're a success, you're a genius. It's like, yeah, everybody was talking trash before you were successful, right? But then all of a sudden
yeah,
you're successful and it's like, oh yeah, you're the man, you're the woman, you're genius, right? No, no.
right,
Like we had to grind just like everyone else, right?
right.
That's why it's so frustrating when I hear all this, like, and I'm not going to get into politics, but the whole like redistribution of wealth stuff going on, like, the rich need to pay their fair share and all this stuff. It's like, okay, but who are the makers and who are the takers here, right?
Right.
So what did you do? So like you said, you've been in it for 4 years now, right?
Right.
So when you first got started, what did that talk me through what that looks? I always like hearing kind of like the very beginning story of like maybe your first deal and like what that kind of looked like for you.
Got it. Well, there's a story behind why I left, but I think I know how to word it right now that I'm a little bit closer with my faith. It was kind of having a David versus a Goliath moment
Sure.
where I had a situation where, am I gonna really put up with this? Not just that old man that I may have been jealous of, but
Yeah.
really like I don't want to be that person, and having an altercation where it made me realize this place doesn't give a, I guess if I could say, a rat's ass about me.
Yeah.
I need to worry about myself. So I had to make that tough choice or that leap of faith
Yeah.
and be able to utilize the money I had from, I was kind of smart towards the end of putting some money in my 401k and
Yeah.
raising the amount that I was putting in
Yeah.
and utilizing that money. But I learned the hard way. You can't just throw money at the business.
Right.
So what I would
Right.
do, I would just follow what everybody's saying, buy Podio, get a VA, give them a list. But I didn't get the point where, okay, George, while your VA is calling, what are you doing? Are you listening to their calls? Are you doing calls yourself? No, I'm over
Yeah.
here playing Super Smash Brothers or something and just waiting for the deal to come.
Right. Right.
So a couple months, I'm like, holy crap, my money's getting kind of short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've it's funny you say that. I've talked to so many business owners, especially on the wholesaling side, watch them drop thousands of dollars. And this is a thing, like with especially with direct to seller.
Yes.
What are you guys like? What are you guys, your ad spend? Like what are you guys spending a month for ads right now?
I'm very lean right now. Justin, right now I'm leaning on working with other. I think leverage is where I kind of
Leveraging others. Yeah,
learned.
that's good though. That's smart. Honestly though, like I can tell you from just a pure competition standpoint, like for direct to seller stuff, I was always, and not just told this, but I've seen the evidence of this. Like, if you want to compete on the ad side of it, like you're anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 at minimum per month to compete. Like if you're just doing PPC stuff. Now there's new strategies. There's things you can use AI for to help with some of this stuff now too.
Mhm.
But um that right there is like that was one of the reasons we decided to go to direct to agent in the
Right.
beginning, because there's a lot less advertising or spend overhead for leads, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know, I mean, on paper it sounds good, but when you're every single lead is overpriced and there's an agent in the middle of the deal, it starts to get really frustrating, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, um, Well, when did it? So like, what was the first deal that you did? Was it a direct to seller lead or deal that you did the first time, or what did that look like?
Gotcha. Great question. It was similar to you, Justin. It took me about a year or so to get my first deal
Yeah.
of going through that similar roller coaster of spending money, getting rid of my VA. Is it my VA or is it me that sucks?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then kind of, to be honest, being to your point, not really going bankrupt, but kind of getting scared, like, oh crap, what
yeah,
am I
yeah.
gonna
What am I
do?
doing? Yeah,
And I
yeah,
ended up joining a team as their first. I did the cold calling
yeah.
and learning from his system of being able to spend part of the day in ready mode, which was a pretty good CRM, not a CRM, but a dialer, cold
Yeah.
calling individuals, and then jumping on the second half of the day as lead manager. To where eventually my first deal came from, I believe, Beaumont, which is a
Okay.
small city east of Houston, and it
Yeah.
was a commercial lot. And that was my first taste of like, oh, that proof of concept. Like, oh, okay, this
Yeah.
really works.
Nice. So
Mhm.
important though, right? Like you once you got that feel for it, once you got that first contract, was it kind of like did that kind of open your eyes a little bit more and just you were just kind of both feet in at that point? It sounded like you were already kind of all in at that point because you're on somebody else. You jumped in and got into somebody else's team, right? But
Yeah, what I felt, Justin, to be honest, and I don't know if this is off topic, because because working in the post office and doing a couple years in the army, I
mm,
also used to structure. So being a business owner, what is the proper way to wholesale?
yeah,
Everybody
right.
says this, and then when you
Yeah.
finally join a team and you're like, holy crap,
Yeah.
this shit's unorganized. They're
Yeah.
just a couple chapters ahead of me, and they're
Yeah.
trying to figure out themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
Hmm.
interesting, isn't it? Like you feel, especially when you're doing it, you're starting everything yourself. There's no, you can ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers about how to do something. That was
Right.
always my biggest frustrating thing. It's like, I don't understand. It's not rocket science. There's a flow to this. Why is it that like everybody's flow is totally different? Like,
Correct.
right? But if
Right.
you really look at it, it's the high level stuff is typically all there, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got to have either your inbound or your outbound leads. You got to have your leads, top of your funnel.
Yeah.
It's got to be leads coming in, right? Then you've got to have someone handling those initial leads and disqualifying, and then
Yes.
from there you got to once they're qualified, you got to hand them off to your closers, right? Your closers got to take it and get it,
Hmm.
get appointments. Actually, you got to probably book an appointment first, and then get your closers on it, right? And working
Correct.
from there. So it's just the high level stuff. I always understood that, but it was just like the minutia when you get into the actual flow of the deal,
Hmm.
uh, into disposition. Disposition was always one of the things that I struggled with the most. Was you know, it's hard, especially when you're first beginning, when you don't have a ton
Yes.
of your own buyers. So you're either dependent on a dispo company
Hmm.
or you got to have your team spend part of that time going out and finding new buyers, right? And
Right.
keeping those relationships up. When did it, like, maybe a better question is like, when did it stop feeling like a hustle and actually start feeling like a real business for you? Like, how long
Um,
did it take for that?
to be honest, I think I'm still there because it
Still
is
there?
trying to get a full feel of, am I getting consistent inbound leads?
Yeah,
And well, to
yeah,
your point, once the inbound leads are in there, what's going on with them? Why are
yeah,
they stuck?
yeah,
If I'm getting 10 leads in 1 week, at the
yeah,
end of the month, we should get something. What's going on? Is it me
yeah,
again? Back to my VA
yeah,
thing of learning how to, have the right structure. But I
yeah,
think here lately, I've been getting a little bit of momentum after closing a pretty good deal. I consider it was a pretty good deal, to where now I look at it, okay, I got this amount of money. What can I do? And can I go to Vegas and double it? Like, no, how do I allocate it,
yeah,
to
yeah,
be able to sustain my
I feel
needs?
you on that one, George.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
feel you. Like you don't necessarily want to spend it, but you do want to put that money to work, making more money. Yeah,
yeah.
for
You got
sure.
to put it back in. Well, that's the thing is you want to get your business to the point where, when you put that money back in, it's like a slot machine, right? Like it's better
right.
than a slot machine. You know that when you put that money back into your machine,
Mhm.
you're getting a certain return consistently every single time, right? That's the whole point.
Correct.
Um, what so right now, are you? so you stopped working for someone else's team and basically started your own essentially, right? Is that kind of where you're at now? Or are you still working on someone else's team?
I think for the longest, once I got that first deal, I
Yeah.
believe I was working with another team and kind of had that same feeling like, holy crap, it's so unorganized here.
Yeah.
But still learning, still appreciating the journey.
Yeah.
So I would go through those phases. I joined a team, got a deal, left, tried to do my own.
Yeah.
Crap, I still can't figure it out. Let me join the team again.
Yeah.
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 I feel that one.
That's good. You know what? I'm glad like, people need to hear this. You know what I mean? Because
Mm,
you know, it's not as simple as people make it out to be. And by the way, we're all told like in the beginning, especially when you get into real estate, but oh, you got to start with wholesaling. You got to start with wholesaling. It's like,
mhm,
okay. And I think everybody definitely could have a role to play in that system. Everybody has certain strengths and capabilities, and you could play a role in that system somewhere. But
mhm.
one of my most hated things was cold calling. I freaking can't stand cold calling.
It's such
Can't
a
stand door
strong
knocking.
word,
I can't stand it.
Justin.
I don't care. I
Right.
can't stand it.
That's why
But
we brought on Anna. We don't have to worry about that. Anna's
oh
got
no, no.
us.
Well, but here's the thing though. Even though I couldn't stand it, it's like anything else when you start doing it and you repeatedly doing it, it
It
starts
gets
to
Right.
get
easier.
easier and easier and easier and easier. And and also you just get better at it. It's like anything else, right?
True.
And that's the thing is it's like why do you not like it so much? Well, you don't like it because you're not good at it, and you don't like it because you're still learning it. And so there's some fear there, right?
Hmm.
But
It's
once you get
uncomfortable just to call
yeah,
people
it's
up.
a yeah, well, like I remember Jamil talking about this and he's like he was just like, a lot of people say like I don't like cold calling. He's like Jamil's like I didn't care. Like I came from this really bad situation and I was just like, you know what? I don't care. Like I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. They can't
Right.
hurt me. They're on the other end of a phone. They can't hurt me. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how you got to look at it, really.
And they
Um,
Or
probably don't even remember who the heck you
oh
are
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
whether
yeah,
or not you called again or,
yeah,
you
it,
know,
to your point, and Pansy, I think I'm learning too. It's a lot of ego. It's your self talk. Like, oh man, they screamed at me, and how do I get over that and jump on the next call when it's not really about you? It's about them,
yeah,
and really having that strong purpose.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
to Justin's point. Jamil had a real strong purpose. He's willing to go through that wall, and some of us we stop at the first. Oh, that hurt.
yeah,
yeah.
Well,
No, I
yeah,
don't know. I like none of it bothered me like the nose or anything. I just really did not find energy in calling people.
yeah,
And I I had some fun calls though. Don't get like
mhm.
yeah,
I had people trying to string me along and I just went along with it and they're like,
yeah,
"Dang, you hung on there."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're like, "I
It,
feel bad for running you around a little bit." I'm like, "It's okay. I kind of knew you were full of crap, but why not give you the attention you must
yeah.
need?"
that's funny, dude.
You
Well,
know.
so what was it for you, George? Was it like, you know, was there a moment where you were just like, you know what, I don't care, like because Kathleen just said something really interesting. Like, I don't like the constant, letdowns or the constant people constantly shutting me down and saying no. Like, what was it for you? Because we all have to go through that. Was there a point where you kind of hit your head on that first wall and were like, what am I doing? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Like, did you ever have those thoughts, or you just kind of had that purpose the whole time and kind of gung ho the whole time?
I think what helped out Justin along the way was like meeting people like Joey and Pansy and people in the community to where
Hmm.
a lot of times they would have an opportunity. They already did the cold calling. They just
Hmm.
didn't know what to do with the deal. And
Yeah,
they see me post because I think that's one thing that helps out is continuing posting
yeah,
and people see what you're doing. And to your point earlier about really saying it out there, I really hate this. Say, hey, I'm JVing. I'm JVing. I'm
yeah.
JVing. And eventually, hey, George, I got something for you. They already cold
Okay.
called them. They already did it. Cash won't work. I don't really understand creative financing. Can you help me out? Do you want to make money with me? Like, duh. I would love to make money with
Yeah.
you.
You're
So,
like,
yeah.
yeah, no kid. Yeah, I want to make money with you, of course. Um, do you find that do you find that people, I know in our community, a lot of people, it's everybody wants everybody to be successful, wants everybody to eat, kind of
Hmm.
that's kind of the mentality. But did you ever have any of those experiences where people went around you or, maybe were a little bit extra greedy on a deal and you didn't get what you maybe you deserved on a deal? Have you ever experienced any of that?
Yeah, well, not a horror story, but I have a scenario where somebody in the community. I remember one day, it was about a year ago. Like I think he was a wholesaler out of Georgia, and he
Uh-huh.
had a deal in Houston. And it's like I don't know if he exactly hit me up, but normally I'm like a vulture looking inside our creative group and stuff too. Hey guys, I got a deal in Houston,
Yeah.
and then I hit him up, and the deal was, hey George, I have a deal in Baytown. If you can help me find a buyer, I'll give you 10,000.
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
shit, I'm gonna shut down.
Nice.
I don't need a cold call today. Let me
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
what I'm doing. Let me bring two buyers that I know to go see it.
Yeah.
And then later on the day, one of my buyers really wanted it. And so the wholesaler said, hey, George, I actually have somebody looking at it. Just give me until tomorrow and see if he's able to go through with it. If not, I'll go work with your buyer. So the next day goes by, and it sounded like excuse after excuse,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where the
Yours.
buyer was like, George, what the hell's going on? Do you
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
if we jump on a three-way? All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
cool. And my buyer took care of me. The scenario was, the end result was like, if he was able to find his own buyer, he didn't have to pay me. But if he went with
Mm.
my buyer, he had to pay me. Like, motherfucker, that's what you said in the beginning. That was the agreement.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said the
Right.
People
expectation.
get greedy,
But
man. Yeah, it's true. Yep, yep. That's a good example too. I
but
always wondered,
I was, I was gonna say, I forgot to end the story where my buyer, he said, "Man, quit the bullshit. How much you want, George?" I was like, "Fuck, what do I say?"
You're like, it's
yeah,
not me, dude.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but so I just took that 10,000. I said, "Well, I did shut down my computer. I drove out here. I brought some buyers. I'm fine with 5,000." He's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Bet, I got you, George." And what I'll do, I'll agree to his price, and then at closing, I'll take care of you at closing and give you 5K to where that's a quote unquote bird dog fee, even before bird dog was famous.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah.
he took care of me.
Good, good. And now I'm assuming you're still working with that buyer, right?
Yeah. He's one of our because I also co-host a networking event here in Houston, and
Yeah,
so he's one of our sponsors.
love it, man. Yeah, when you find those guys, you got to hang on to them, man.
Right.
Um, have you ever, well, this was always something that I struggled with in the beginning, especially, but like trying to understand how to not allow people to go around you, right? Because
Hmm.
it like you'd think it's kind of an easy concept. It's like, yeah, you just get it under contract or whatever. But what
Hmm.
if you're not the one with the contract? What if someone's bringing the contract, they don't have the buyer, and you're fine, just like what you did. You find the buyer and you're bringing the buyer to the table. How do you get that transaction to the finish line? Because those deals where there's multiple wholesalers involved,
Right.
I have never closed a daisy chain deal. I've
Oh
literally
man.
never closed a daisy chain deal. Like I'm not even joking. Like every daisy chain deal that ever happened, we got close. We got close a few times, like really close, but something always came up. And it was either a situation like you described, like the other person was just like, you know what? I found this other buyer, and if I can bring them to the table and close it with them, I don't have to pay these guys. Like, and just stuff got shut down. And then, or whatever, our buyer found something they didn't like about the property. Of course, with real estate, there's always some reason it's gonna, fall through. But
Hmm.
um, what did
Well,
you,
there's usually a reason these houses, are cheap. There's
yeah.
something going on with them,
Right, right.
you
Well,
know.
sometimes, right? But sometimes it's just legitimate. They're in enough of a pain situation that they're willing to do whatever they got to do to sell it, and you're there at the right time.
Hmm.
Um, what was your first, like, maybe not first, but what was like maybe your biggest roller coaster moment that you can remember going through all this stuff? Like,
That's a good question because I think there's a bunch of them, but because at the moment it felt like a big one, when the next one comes in, like, oh, that wasn't that bad, kind of like Coco, like, you
yeah,
know,
you're right. You look back, you're like, oh, that last dip wasn't that bad, and this one's really bad.
yeah.
I mean, is there a specific, story or something that you have where like it just got really difficult for you going through this process?
No, because I think, to be honest, Justin, once I left the post office, during that moment, that actually got me closer to God because actually one of the guys I was looking towards like a mentor, he's actually an usher here in Lakewood, which is here in Houston.
Yeah.
And so he would tell me, we'd go look at properties and he'd say, "Hey, George, I'm an usher at Lakewood. Whenever you get a chance, you should go." And I like, okay, I'll go one weekend. And I like
Nice.
that he didn't push me. And so I
Yeah.
think overall, to answer your question, there are a lot of downs,
Yeah.
but as long as you have that strong faith and know that God has you and He's your vindicator, and He's going to take care of everybody for you, then it's easier to go forward. Still
Yeah.
having those moments, but having that moment thinking about, oh crap, who's got me? Who's bigger than
Yeah.
God?
Yeah, you got to
Nobody.
remember who's got the wheel, right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So what, what does that process look like for you when things get difficult? Do you, obviously you lean on God, but from I guess maybe from a team perspective, because it's, if you're not doing a certain number of deals every single week or every single
Mhm.
month, like it can get really difficult to keep a team together, right?
Right.
Um, and when things get difficult for you guys, like how are you guys handling that as a team? Are you guys, or to avoid that even happening in the first place, are you guys like getting together every week, reviewing calls? What does your guys' process look like for all that? For as far as your callers, your cold callers, and your closers, like what's that process look like for you guys to keep everybody accountable and make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, to be honest, just I'm still working on that, but with the people
Yeah,
that are in there, I'm constantly following up with them, seeing how they're
yeah,
doing, and kind of relating to their gripe or why they haven't made calls all week. And then
yeah,
it's learning that maybe I need to be more direct in
yeah,
what I need.
yeah,
And then if it doesn't happen, then obviously you follow up with them and kind of see what's going on. But to your point, I believe it is important to have that, at least once a week meeting, kind of to check on things and make sure everything's going good. And then
yeah,
going throughout the week, but always leaving that door open to where if you have a situation, let me know. Let's see if we can talk about it. But it's still a process, a learning process, and being part of the founders forum, it kind of reminded me that really working on that vision and really understanding, to your point earlier, what you're good at and what you're not good at, and being able to delegate those. But when you are bringing somebody on board, really being intentional with what you're
yeah,
asking,
yeah.
and not going off of the excitement. Oh yeah, I can call 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. You got to hold people accountable to that. I mean, that's actually a really good point. Like you're just consistently following up with people and being direct. That's something I struggle with too. Like being very direct about what you need and when you need it by, right?
Right,
And then obviously following up from there and holding people accountable from there is a big part of it.
right.
Um, Man, I have a ton of questions, but I'm a huge systems guy. So
Hmm.
like one of the things that I struggled with early on was trying to build out the system before I even knew what I really needed. I spent a lot of time doing that. Like, and what it turns into is just procrastination work, right? Essentially. It's like instead of doing that, what I should have been doing was just getting on the freaking phones, right? And doing the stuff that's going to actually make you money.
Yeah.
Instead, I was trying to architect like this system that could automate as much of it. I
Ooh.
had a motivation. I work a W-2 job, right? So there
Ah,
was a motivation there to try and be able to automate it as much as I could as possible. And you hear stories about these kids that are making like the LOI blasters and all these different
yeah.
tools right out there.
Shiny
And you're like,
object.
damn, how can I do that? I want to do that.
I
And
think
but
Kathy
again,
had a question in the
oh, Kathy,
chat. Yeah.
let me see. Did you have a question? Well, I can bring you up, Kathleen. If you got a question, we'll bring you up. I
Okay.
guess so. Kathleen was saying, are you constantly doing deals? So
Like
that's an interesting question. Are you guys constantly doing?
consistently,
Yeah,
because we were just talking about, I'm sorry, we were just talking about like how you if you don't have enough deals, people are gonna leave the team. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just curious because
yeah,
I think this is a thing we all wonder about, like because for me, I look at some of them, they're like, yeah, I did $10 million this year. I'm like,
yeah,
well, how the heck did you do that? I've worked it really hard in the past, and hadn't got as much, and so I'm just kind of curious, like, I'd really like to know what that looks like because that'd be super
Yeah.
cool.
A
Yeah.
lot of people really want to know what the ins and outs and what it truly looks like. And it takes some losses and it takes grinding. And a lot of people don't realize that. They don't
Mhm.
treat it like you hear 45 minutes a day. That's all I want you calling, blah, blah, blah. You got to treat it like a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
which means you may be cold calling for 45 minutes a day, but are you looking for buyers? Are you checking on your buyers list? Because once you got something locked up, are you taking care of your TC and making sure that your TC is on board and ready to lock something up once you have a deal? And once you do lock it up,
Hmm.
dispo it,
Anna, by the
because a
way,
lot of
I
people
did
get stuck
talk
with
to
that.
my TC today.
Did
Our
you?
TC, not mine, but our TC. I did speak with her
Nice.
today.
That's
So
so important because once something is, once we get somebody to sign a contract that makes sense, we want to push it through as soon as possible, get EMD in there and get it disposed so we don't lose our EMD.
Yep.
And I've watched, like I said, I watched a month straight with like being on the phone with Jason 12 hours a freaking day. And we got deals, we got stuff under contract. Were they successful? No, because there were certain ones that were not disposed like I knew they wouldn't be. There were some that, didn't match my underwriting and we went for it anyway. And I'm kind of strict with underwriting for that reason. If we can't dispo it, we get stuck with it. And
Yep.
that's the reality of wholesaling. When
Yep.
you're JVing with people, people don't realize that. But the reality of what those people are dealing with, it's like, I better dispo or I own this or I lose my EMD and get
Yep.
sued.
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it's one of those things a lot of people learn the hard way, right?
Mhm.
Because they either just don't understand the flow or the way things are supposed to work, or they were maybe given some bad information, whatever it is. I mean, from my perspective, I would never want to lock up a contract with non-refundable EMD without some kind of contingencies. Like you've got to give yourself contingencies, a time frame to be able to cancel that deal. But I've 100% watched people lose that money because they were so gung ho about just getting their deal, getting that deal, getting that deal, getting that deal, right?
Right.
That they weren't paying attention to some of those, finer points.
He
If
was,
you
I
Right.
will.
think people get excited, like, oh, I got a deal locked up. It looks good and stuff. I think it'll make sense. But it's like,
Yeah.
do you have a buyer telling you that it's going to make sense? Or is your underwriting really making sense? Because otherwise you get sued, you lose your money. And I know
one
people that are
hundred
real
percent.
cocky and put $10,000 EMD. I know I can get this sold and offloaded and then you lose your 10,000 EMD. So I have seen it. Okay. So I know what not to do and I know the realities. And a lot of people think, oh, get on the phone and I get this little list and I call it for 45 minutes a day and something will happen. No, treat it like a damn job if that's what you want to do. A lot of people just don't want to hear the bare bones truth of what wholesaling is.
Yeah,
It's great, but like it's friggin' work and it's stressful and takes teamwork.
it does. It
I
does. And it
love it.
takes, yeah, I love that. And it takes consistency too. You know what? Let me ask you a quick question, George. So what is it like? What are you guys are doing direct to seller, right? Is that like your main focus, direct to seller leads?
Yeah, I'm doing direct to seller straight from the public records,
Yeah.
pulling those and putting. I'm working on getting a spreadsheet together and allowing people that may want to, try it out to
Yeah.
be able to join a team and help out with the appointment setting. So to your point earlier, having the top of the funnel filled, because right now at the bottom, I'm getting excited, but I'm learning act like I've been there before. Because to I believe Anna's point, not all of them are guaranteed to close. But if someone will close, I quote unquote can kind of retire for the year. But I also know I still have to fill up the top of the funnel
Yeah.
to keep it going.
Yeah. And what are you guys doing to build? This was something I struggled with, you know, obviously having a system in place is good, but what are you guys doing to build trust with sellers, especially, especially
Hmm.
nowadays where wholesaling is so much more like in the know, if you will, and
Hmm.
sellers, just like agents, are starting to get wise
Hmm.
to, especially like, the creative strategies, the wholesaling strategies. What are you doing to build trust with these people when they're already probably skeptical of investors or
Right.
wholesalers, right, from the get-go? Like, what does that look like?
It's I don't think I really rarely had any pushback other than the price, and to Anna's
Mhm.
point, being able to underwrite it and have the confidence to tell that person, I can
Yeah,
take care of your problem, but it's gonna be at this price. What do you
yeah,
think?
yeah,
And so not really too much pushback, and I think that's why I really like JV deals. Like if I'm talking to a deal that Joey has, Joey did a great job of introducing himself, setting those expectations from the
yeah,
beginning to
yeah.
where once it's like, hey George, I got a deal, I just need help finding a buyer for it, or vice
Love it.
versa.
You know what? Do you mind? I'm gonna bring Joey up here for a minute. I want to
Sure.
ask Joey some questions too. What's up, Joey? Didn't know you were gonna be on a podcast today, did you?
No, so funny enough, I hopped on here just to kind of support George and didn't
Yeah,
realize it was a podcast until like 5 minutes into our Zoom. So
love it.
yeah.
Well, welcome to the show, Joe. I appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you
Yeah,
supporting
thanks
George
for
too.
hopping in. And we always encourage people to come in and support, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of
absolutely.
fun.
And keep coming back, man. We're look, I love talking to people who are, it doesn't matter if have $1 million business or if you're just getting started. I love talking to all, all entrepreneurs. Everybody, like a friend of ours was saying the other day, people who like to take life by the short curlies, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but
Um,
not there. I thought by
yeah,
the
yeah.
horn.
I love talking, but I'm gonna ask you the same question. Like, what are you doing to kind of establish that trust with sellers? Because I'm sure you get a lot of the, oh, you're an investor or you're a wholesaler, aren't you? Like you probably get a lot of that, huh?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I've kind of pivoted a little bit. I am not wholesaling anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so my team actually we're doing fix and flips.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Oh, nice.
So I've only been doing this for like a year and a half.
Yeah,
So just recently transitioned this year into just full on fix and flips. But when
nice.
we were wholesaling it, it just really comes down to transparency, setting expectations, and
Yeah,
honestly, just understanding their motivation and the reason for them to want to sell in the first place. Once you
yeah.
understand that and have that from the seller, then at that point, it's just what can you do for them in order to solve their problems?
Right,
And once
right.
once you figure that out, then I mean it just becomes real easy after that.
And that's interesting you say that. I think one of my biggest, if I go back and listen, because I got a lot of old phone calls, old agent calls, old seller calls that I still have recorded. And when I go back and listen to especially my early stuff, it really was just a question of me talking more than listening, trying to present the solution like before I'd even really listen to what their problem was. And I know for a lot of people or most people, if you're not really listening to what they're saying, it gets even more frustrating for people, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
definitely
Pansy's like,
speak on
yes.
that. People are not good listeners.
Yeah,
And, even more recently, speaking about needing help with something, there was somebody who assumed they understood what I needed help with. They didn't ask me specifically what I needed help with, they just assumed.
yeah,
And they're like, they said something along the lines, well, you have to be willing to receive it. Like, I'm like, lady, the help you were offering me was not helpful,
yeah,
right? Like that wasn't what I needed.
yeah,
Otherwise, yes, I would take it, but that's not the help I needed at the time. So,
yeah,
it's like listen to exactly what they're needing before you offer to do, a solution for something. Yes, it still may be a solution for part of it, but sometimes you really do have to understand some other parts before you could just offer an immediate solution, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I would say that that's the main factor that separates you from everybody else that gives them a call, right? A lot of people, when it comes to this business, obviously their mind is all about, the dollar sign. Oh, how much can I make on this deal? How much can I make on this deal? When in reality, the ones that make the most money are the ones that sit down and actually listen to the seller and try to actually provide them with solutions.
yeah, yeah. That's what it's all about. The people who make the most or the most successful are bringing something of value to the market, solving people's problems, right? Again,
Right.
solving problem. So and again, that was one of my biggest issues
Oh
was
damn.
like, and by the way, have you ever listened, like really sat and listened to one of Pace's or Jamil's calls that they do? Like, and not, and I call them out just because they're kind of like some of the leaders in this whole thing, but um, Pace is really, really good at having just a really genuine conversation with a seller and just being very honest, right? And it's refreshing almost, right? It's
Right.
like to the point where Pace will just be like, "Hey, you know what? Look, I'm not your buyer, but let me see what I can do. I think I know how we can help this situation, even though I'm not going to be the one buying this thing. Like, I don't think I'm going to buy it from you at that price, or even just being completely honest with people and sitting there talking way less than the seller, right? And really listening to what they have to say. Even though Pace, like, even though he knows that it's not going to be a deal for him, he'll still take the time to sit there and listen, right?
Right.
And finish that phone call because you never know, right? Maybe there is something you can help them with, or maybe there's another way you can solve their problem for them, right? Without maybe not just from a wholesale standpoint. But that
Or
was
another problem,
or
right?
another
I
problem.
mean,
Yeah. It was always something I really admired when I listened to the way he and some other people have their conversations with sellers. But you know what? I got another question for you guys because this is something that I'm constantly thinking about. Like, what is it about your guys' systems that makes you confident that you guys are going to keep getting leads? Like, what do you guys do that makes you confident about at least that part? The top half of your funnel is going to keep getting leads.
I think you just would answer the question like you just said.
Uh,
As long as the funnel's filled on top, you start moving from that scarcity mindset and more into the abundance mindset, and really having that the way you said base goes is that I'm probably not your buyer.
yeah,
I know in the back of my mind I have more leads coming through,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I know if I lead with honesty and we're not going to work together down the road, if you keep hearing the same BS or you keep hearing the same numbers, you know what? Let me go back to George because he actually took the time to understand. And I
yeah,
keep hearing the same number. So let me go back to him. And
yeah,
because you're doing a good job of following up, then you may get the deal. But
yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's mindset.
Yeah. Well, and is there a process or a lead generation system that you guys use specifically that maybe you'd be willing to share with the community that helps keep that top of the funnel filled up? Or is it just you guys are just doing the hard yards? You're doing the outbound pulling lists and doing the outbound calls and all of that stuff. Is it like, is there any secret sauce you'd be willing to give away, or
No,
is it literally
I
just doing the work?
Yeah, I would say right now I'm experimenting with doing the process of pulling the public records and having a couple people help out and do the calling,
Mhm.
and then being able to also utilize Prop AI and kind of messing with that with the direct to seller leads, and then whatever comes through in the CRM, which is go high level. And
Yeah.
my guy Anthony, he helped me out over a year now working together and kind of helping me build it to where he wants to use the analogy of Iron Man having the Iron Man suit and being Tony Stark's, but he can only build it to a certain extent, kind of like you mentioned earlier, Justin, of building a CRM, but you're not building it to what I like, to where
Yeah.
I'm able to have that relationship with him. Like, Anthony, this sucks, or how come these messages are coming out this way? And but it took a while to learn that because that was our learning how to talk to each other as well. I like to call it the love language.
Yeah,
Versus-
I get you. Oh man,
yeah.
that's actually a really good point. Like
Mhm.
that, you're talking about that internal communication, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
getting that feedback and saying, "Hey, bro, I'm seeing that when these leads come in, I'm not getting notified. Why is that happening?" But
Right.
also working with them to Pansy's point, really listening, and if I
Yeah.
don't get it, not being ashamed, say, "You know what? I don't understand that question. I just had community college education. Can you please break that down a little bit better?"
Yeah.
Because I know integrators and visionaries, they'll get confused because they're in different levels.
Yeah, they're different mindsets, different ways of thinking about things. And for me, it's a lot of overthinking and getting past that overthinking part and really focusing on the most important pieces that are going to really move the needle forward. Because again,
I'll tell you. Sorry, Justin.
Yeah.
Something that I've noticed more recently is when I'm getting on a call with someone, I just automatically assume they're smarter than me. And I give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going to give me all the information I need, you know, for the most part. So I let them do most of the talking
Yeah.
and then, you know, try to have questions, you know,
I
towards
like
the end.
that. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. That's actually not a bad way of thinking about it, to be honest, because it almost forces you to really just stop and think of questions to ask, and assuming, you know, maybe a little bit of assumption like that they're going to answer everything, but forcing you to kind of shut up and think of questions, right? And have that conversation. That's kind of an
Well,
interesting
if
thing.
you be quiet and actually listen and don't worry so much about having questions,
Mhm.
right? Like, because if you listen to someone and just give them the freedom to keep talking,
Yeah.
and because you're showing interest,
Hmm.
right? Some way, somehow, that what they are saying is interesting,
Hmm.
they'll give you more information. So it's like if something clicks, right? Like, oh, you know, oh, they said this. And you're like, well, maybe they'll give me more information, but I'm going to jot that down because if they don't give me the information I want to come back to that,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like,
Paint me a
so
picture. Paint me a picture. What does it look like if you were to sell this house? How would this help you? Who else is this affecting?
Yeah, I always loved the question too, like, what are you gonna do if you can't sell at that price, or what are you gonna do if you can't sell the property,
What happens
Implementation,
then?
right?
implementation, implement. What do you call it? I can't say it right now. Implementation questions. Like you're.
Implementation. Yeah, yeah.
There you go. I'm tongue tied. Maybe I need some
You
more
know,
water.
that's
and one of
okay.
my
Happens
favorite
to
gotcha
all of us.
questions. Yeah,
We're rolling with it. We should probably wrap up soon. We could take it
oh, for
offline.
sure, for sure. I was just gonna say we're getting close to the end here, but one of my other favorite kind of, not necessarily a gotcha question, but sort of, kind of is a gotcha question. Especially talking to agents. Would you buy this house at that price?
Right.
Right?
Damn,
And see
that's
what they say.
good.
Yeah, love it.
Damn, that's
Um,
good.
so let me,
Writing it
I'll give you,
down.
this is my closing question for you guys. If you guys had to start all over again with no buyers, no momentum, no nothing, what would you do in your first 30 days?
For me, I'd probably do the same thing because I would have
Really?
the same resources and knowledge back then and having to go through the grind. But I
Yeah.
guess having more confidence in myself and instead of avoiding like the objection,
Yeah.
just going through it. Why do you ask that question? To Pansy's point, let me understand that when you say you never sold the house before, that oh shit, that is true. Well, let me explain how our process is because I think that's the question you're asking. Is that correct? All right,
Yeah.
let me go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
I think for me, what I would say to answer your question would be just join a team, right? The way that I started is so I'm not in any like mentorships, I'm not in sub
The
two or
right
anything like
team.
that. So I would say just network with people that are doing the business
Mhm.
and just see if, you can join a team and then learn that way. That's how I started. I joined a team, learned about wholesaling, and then eventually kind of branched off after that. So
Love
that's the
it.
advice I would give.
I love it,
I,
man.
I agree. Yeah, I think if you can get in it and actually do the part with the people that are already doing it,
Yep.
um, yeah, I think that's the best place anybody can be over any actual mentorship or anything.
Yeah, I think that's
Starting
actually
all
really
over.
good
Yeah.
advice. I think that's good advice. Jumping on
Yeah.
somebody else's team that's already got something established that you can kind of work your way into that, learn that system and an operating system that's actually doing a certain amount of revenue, right? And really like absorbing all of that before you branch off onto your own.
Right.
Good advice. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it, but I really appreciate you, George. Thank you for being here, man. You did great. You did
Thank
great.
you,
And
everyone.
yeah,
Yeah.
Joey as well. Thank you guys both for being here. I'm gonna take us off the live stream, but we'll see you guys later. We'll be back next Friday. Peace out, y'all.